What's up, nature lovers? It's Skillet with Surrounded by Nature, SD, where nature is a lifestyle. Today, we're going to be talking pachyforms and the art of plant staging. Recently, I was inspired by the Succulentus Official. Make sure you check him out on Instagram, all the way over in Japan. But I took it and did my own spin on things. Let's check it out. Let's go. Traditionally, in bonsai, what we like to see at the bottom of our trees is a nice layer of green moss. This is one of my oldest Opercularicaria I've had in my collection over 15 years. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is staging of plants. The Succulentus recently put out a book titled Habitat Style, where there's a lot of photos of plants in different areas in their wild form. Now, I was inspired by this book, so it led me to research. You can find a lot of different pictures online, right? Of different plants in their habitat form. Now, I may not have been to Madagascar, Socotra Island, or things of that nature, but I sure have been to Baja California, Arizona, Colorado. I've seen the red sands. I've seen trees growing out of rocks, right? So, what I've noticed in these environments is a lot of the plants, trees, succulents, growing in these harsh environments are growing out of what we're going to refer to as hard pan, where the soil is so hard, dense, compact, that almost nothing can grow out of it unless it has a huge survival rate. Something like a big fat caudex, or other features that might help collect water, such as spines, twisted leaves, and things of that nature. Enough of all that. Let me show you guys how we're gonna get into this plant staging thing, what we're gonna call habitat style. Hard pan. All right, here we are with Pulcheria columinaris, or the boojum tree. Out of Baja California, down to Sonora, Mexico. I've been working on this tree for quite a while, skillet style, grown by my friends over at Botanic Wonders. All right, first thing we gotta do is get this out of the pot. Hasn't been in here for too long, so it shouldn't be too hard to get out. But let's loosen things up. And get it out. Oh, all right. Loosen that up a little bit more. All right, first thing we're gonna do when staging a plant is you gotta determine what the front of your tree is. I already know what the front of this tree is because I've been working on it for a while, okay? It's kind of got a little belly button here and a longer branch on this side that we're gonna use as the front. We're gonna stage it in this beautiful Jerry Gardner pot made by Jerry Gardner here in San Diego. Handmade. You can only get a few of these, and you can find these on botanicwonders.com. All right, I've already prepared this pot, right, so that we can start getting things moving. So once you've determined the front of your tree, right, you can start messing with positioning, angles, things like that. We're gonna go ahead and use our Botanic Wonders soil for this video, okay? Which is just a great all-around soil, great for any of your pachyforms. By the way, if you purchase anything from Botanic Wonders, make sure you use my code NATURE for 10% off of any of your things at Botanic Wonders. All right, so let's kind of determine the front of our tree. All right, let's get the first layer of soil in. We don't have to be too clean about it. Nothing fancy. Now, I do have some prepared anchors if needed. Okay. So I think for this, right, as I said, we kind of got this little belly button and this front branch. We're gonna give it a little bit of a lean and then top it off. We are gonna go ahead and use these wires to secure the tree over a couple roots. All right, now we have our tree kind of secured into place here. We'll get rid of this excess wire here in a moment. And we can finish with our soil. We're gonna bring the soil level about all the way up to the top here. And now we can get into the fun part, the actual staging of the plant. So I'm working on this tray here, so I'm gonna be able to water and do things without a mess for the purpose of this video. So let's go ahead and give our first initial water so I can moisten all the soil and we can get to work. All right, so now that we have the tree prepared, in place, the root kind of showing how I want, we can get rid of this excess wire. All right. Now, talking about these trees in nature, right? First thing I was talking about is the hard pan nature of these plants. So we're gonna add a little rock, right? It's kind of one of the first things we'll see where a lot of this stuff is growing out of. All right. The next thing we're gonna do is get into the hard pan layer, which I'm gonna use a couple different styles of clay. Now that my plant is wet, okay, I can begin to add my first layer. So I'll generously add my tan clays, okay. And you notice I'm gonna leave a few spots bare here, okay. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to add a couple different colors for texture and element. So we're going to add a little bit of this red clay to our staging. So I'm going to add a little here and a little here. Okay, now that we have our clay all into place, I'm gonna kind of just pat it all down a bit with a trowel. Our soil's already moist, so a lot of this clay is gonna start to harden over the next couple days. The next thing I'm gonna do is completely mist the top. Now I can go back in one more time with my shovel, right? Kind of use it as a trowel and kind of start flattening some of this out. Okay. Now, 2 more layers to this will be our details, right? We're going to add some gravel. There's different types of gravels, different colors we can add, different elements, right? So we'll add a little bit of this kind of rainbow gravel throughout this one. We'll top it off with a fine sand. Right? And all these little details will go a long way in our hardened, hard panned finish product. Okay? So, one other thing you'll see in the wild, right, is a lot of dead shrubs and things like that growing in nature, right? These aren't growing in forests. They're not growing in tropical, beautiful environments with moss. They're growing in arid, harsh environments where they're being strangled, right, by rocks and strangled by dead shrubs and things of that nature. So I've come up with some fine details we can add, right? Just add an extra little element here. That's right. A kind of final touch here to our wild style hard panning is just a little bit of detail, right? Now, my last step to all of this is simply letting it dry. As you've seen on some of my other work, the hard pan will completely harden, right? Over time, it'll crack and you'll see different crevices creating, much like their environments in the nature, okay? Now, how would I take care of this without disturbing all of this? I simply bottom water this. So I'll lay this in a tray of water, soak it for about 20 minutes, right? My top layer will become moist to touch, just like it is now, okay? After it dries out, and I know my top layer is dried within a few days, I can figure my soil is starting to dry, right? So it's a good indication also of your soil layer. All right, so here we are, habitat style, hard pan, right? Wild style. Let me show you this in a couple days when the whole process finishes up, all right? And we'll close it up. All right, guys, here we are a couple days later with our finished product. As you can see, my substrate layer is hardened. You can see the red and tan clay along with the fine sand and the different gravel layers I've added, okay? I think this gives us a very nice composition for what we're gonna refer to as arid bonsai or desert bonsai. Once again, shout out to the Succulentist Official for the inspiration. And this is my take on it. Hard pan, habitat style, USA. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a like. If you have any questions about this, please leave a comment. And if you have not already, please subscribe to our channel. It's a big help. Once again, this is Skillet with Surrounded by Nature, SD, where nature is a lifestyle. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks a lot. Hey guys, if you're interested in this kind of plant, please follow my friends at Botanic Wonders. Use my code NATURE for 10% off. They ship anywhere in the country.